So, so anyways, Justin, or was it Stephanie? I've been meeting so many people, I forget names, but they said we could get this guy here, and I've seen them talk, and so he called me, and we chatted for a little bit, and he says, well, I'm not a public speaker, but when I looked up his info for a little bio, he's got a channel that he's had for quite a while. He's got 3.5 million views on his channel, and he speaks all about guns, the Second Amendment, and he started up a new channel. You can explain this is the Patriot Edu channel.
Yeah, I have a Patriot EDU channel. My main channel is called 2A EDU. I primarily talk about the Second Amendment on there. I do a lot of firearms reviews too, but mainly I'm just a patriot and I just want to keep our country. So
right.
So
I asked him to talk about, like, what does he want to talk about? We're not going to do 2 hours of gun necessarily, but what we really need to talk about is freedom and liberty, and let's not let it become a new normal of what's going on now. So give me a round of applause here for our speaker today.
How's it going, guys? First of all, it's so awesome to see so many good-looking people. Like, I can actually see your faces, that's normal. This whole thing and look, if you need to wear a mask, medical conditions, if you're around your great-grandmother, she's 83, that's fine. I'm not going to condemn you if you wear a mask. But the fact that we're now getting condemned and they're trying to separate us into this lesser-than society because we want to exercise our natural rights, like breathing fresh air, socializing with one another, fellowship, different things that we always took for granted until, well, I guess earlier this year is when it really started coming to a head, right? And it didn't actually start this year, and I don't have a prepared speech. I'm just going to talk about stuff like I do my friends normally, but I am going to read something at the end that I didn't write. So let's see here. I do lawn service, snow removal, and I was just finishing doing my salting. You know, it was the end of winter, early spring. And all of a sudden on TV, you guys remember, they're like, there's a virus. It's coming. I'm like, there's what? There's a virus. And I'm like, well, we have viruses every year, right? And we've had them forever. Like, they probably pre-exist everything they say. Well, this virus was a little bit different. And it seemed like it didn't take long at all, like almost immediately. And we saw these people in government. Now, what is government? Government's supposed to be, at least in this country, of the people, by the people, for the people. And we're endowed by our Creator. These are natural rights. They pre-existed any one of us. As great as he was, George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Madison, our rights actually pre-existed them. They formed this country on God-given rights, and that we would elect people. See, they were actually talking about at the very beginning, if you look in the Federalist Papers. They said, well, if men were angels, we wouldn't need a government at all. But since men are not angels, we are going to have to put a government in place. And they did, but that government was put in place to protect our God-given and our natural rights. And they never said they gave them to us. If you look at the Bill of Rights, which we love dearly, it doesn't say that the First Continental Congress and George Washington gave you the right to free speech. No, it says Congress shall pass no law abridging. You look at the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They didn't give us these rights. And this is the great George Washington and Alexander Hamilton and Ben Franklin. They didn't even give it to us. So let's fast forward this spring. All of a sudden we're looking and they're saying, well, hold on a minute. There's a virus. There's a plague. They call it like so many things. I can't even keep track of what it's called anymore. But in the end, we notice that we have some tyrants in power, especially in Lansing, Michigan. And that's why we need to recall Gretchen Whitmer and get her out. Because she's not here as a public servant to protect our rights. It appears to me that she's a tyrant. And now when you say tyrant, people say, well, hold on a minute. That's just a put down. Well, it's not a nice thing, and it's not good. You shouldn't want to be a tyrant, but that is what she is. A tyrant is somebody who rules people outside of the rule of law. And there's literally hundreds, and I'm not going to mention all of them, but I'll mention a couple of things that she's done that are clearly outside of the rule of law. So I'm sitting there, and I'm getting my salt spreader put away this spring, you know, and it's kind of like this time of year, right? And I'm like, okay. I'm going to get my lawnmowers out, and I was out there getting ready because I barely make it through the winter, and that's when I have to feed my family is in the summer. And the governor of Michigan comes out, and she says, we have a virus, and we need to do all these things, and it's illegal for you to cut grass. I'm like, really? I'm 40 years old. Like, I've never even heard of such a thing. I can't cut grass? And that's what she did.
Can't buy seeds.
And then I said, well, hold on, darling. We'll make the best of this. Let's paint our daughter's bedroom. No, you couldn't buy paint either. You couldn't buy paint. And then she said, well, hold on a minute. You can stay open if you're an essential business. And I said, all right, well, there's laws that say that you have to get your grass cut or they'll give you a fine in most places. But that wasn't essential. However, I would know you could go buy lottery tickets, alcohol, you could buy cigarettes. Even the strip clubs were open at that time. But you couldn't go to church either because that was also considered to be, she says legal, she says the law. Well, I heard him mention Catherine Henry earlier, and I'm going to bring her up in just a second. She's a good friend of mine and a fellow patriot that she's just awesome. So we're sitting here and we're thinking, well, what the heck's going on here? Then you saw the vice president get on TV, and he was a gentleman like he always is. He says, look, people, we have this plague. We have this virus. We just need everyone to sit here 15 days to slow the spread. And I said, well, hold on a minute. The government, they're here to help. And one of the scariest things you can hear is I'm from the government. I'm here to help. I said, all right, 15 days. All right, well, the lawns are starting to grow, but all right, I guess I can sit here for 15 days just to see what's going on. Because if this is Ebola and there's like a 90% chance you're going to die, maybe we should stay in the house for 2 weeks, I thought. But I was still suspicious. All right. And then after that, 15 days to flatten the curve. Here we are, 9 months later? And they're saying that it's getting worse than ever before. Cover your face. Listen to Dr. Fauci. If you don't believe us, just shut up. You're dumb. You're an idiot. And they've been telling us all these things for 9 months, and then they keep telling us it's worse. And then they say, well, if there's a vaccine. Now they're saying if you take the vaccine, that doesn't even matter. You're still going to have to wear a mask. And that one dose of the vaccine won't be enough, and you'll have to take it forever. So I think that's the general climate. But let's go back to, I'll just call her the governor. She's kind of like this virus. They call her so many things. I'll just be nice today and call her the governor. She's a real beauty, too, in a different kind of way. So, she's special, yeah. So the governor came out, and she said, okay, as the Empress of Michigan, I'm just going to lock it down. It's all locked down. Everybody, just listen to me. I know what's best for you. And she's not a doctor. She doesn't know what's best for us, in my opinion, at all. But she said, we're going to lock you down. And then do you guys remember April 30th? I went to the Capitol, and I was there with many peaceful people. It was a family event. There was little kids, beautiful little kids, middle-aged, elderly. Everybody was there. We were exercising our right to keep and bear arms, which we should, because if we don't exercise our rights, they'll just take them away. They didn't give them to us, but they're always trying to take them away. And that date was very important because Michigan law says that she had a very limited amount of time that she could declare these emergency executive actions. And then after that, she would need the legislative approval, right? Because we have 3 separate branches of government in the state of Michigan and these United States, and we have the legislative, the executive, and judicial. Now you guys are just nodding like, come on, dude. I've known that since I was in, elementary school? Apparently, Governor Whitmer doesn't know that. She believes that she's in a dictatorship, in my opinion, and that she's just going to unilaterally rule. And she said, no, I'm going to keep these going as long as I need to. And now we found 9 months later, she probably wants to keep them forever. But the legislator that day had to vote to extend. And there's a lot of faults with our legislator. They're far from perfect. But in this case, they did the right thing. They did not vote to extend. And that was the end of the law, and it was over. And I was at the Capitol. And there was a lovely lady there, and she was out in front of the doors. They had the doors locked. We were supposed to be able to go in. It's called the Open Meetings Act, right?
Right.
They locked the doors. There's actually statutes in Michigan that say any time that the chamber is in session, it has to be open to the public. But they locked the doors. And there's this beautiful lady there, and her name's Catherine Henry, and she was out there, and she's like, let us in. You have to let us in. And then if you looked up, there's the rotunda, right? It's like round, and there's different stories in the Capitol that goes all the way up in the dome. There was people on the ground floor going all the way up, and we were just yelling, let us in, and the whole building was shaking. like literally shaking. And I called my representative, Joe Bellino, afterwards. He was in there. I said, did you hear us? He's like, are you kidding me, babe? Like, we thought the whole walls were going to fall down. Like, it felt like an earthquake. They heard us. They didn't vote. And it was over. And I looked at Catherine and I said, so what, it's over? She goes, no, it hasn't even started. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. Many things happened. The governor would get on there and lecture to us like we were petulant children every day. And she still does right now. She actually had the audacity to get on TV, and I saw Tucker Carlson put a clip of it last night, and he said he's going to keep showing it. She's wishing us a Merry Christmas. I don't know if you guys heard the news. I don't even pay attention to the news because it's mainly fake, but she's going to shut us down for Christmas now, she says. These lockdowns are going to continue on into January. Yeah, it was illegal, according to her, that you couldn't celebrate Thanksgiving with more than 2 people or whatever the heck it was. Again, I don't even pay attention anymore, right? So she lectured to us like we were petulant children and said, I know what's best. You need to do what I'm telling you to. It's the law, it's the law, it's the law. But Catherine Henry, who is a constitutional lawyer, I have no idea how the governor passed the bar exam because she apparently has no idea of what the rule of law is or what it means to be a governor. But Catherine said, none of this is law. The law is very specific here. Well, then the legislators, if you remember, filed to the Michigan Supreme Court. And our friend Catherine Henry was one of the lawyers that got involved in that, and she actually did oral arguments in front of the High Court of Michigan. And they struck down the 2 laws, the 1945 law, the 1976 law. The one they said was completely unconstitutional altogether, like it's gone, get it out of here. The other one, they said, well, this part of the way she was enforcing it was unconstitutional. That was it. It's over. It's over. It was over that day. But she keeps going on and on and on, doesn't she? And that's why we're here today. And I know I've kind of been doing a lot of complaining, but it's okay to complain, I think, to a point, right? Because in my opinion, it's okay to be mad, and we should be mad. Does that mean we need to be mean to people? No. But we should be mad and angry that we're sitting here watching this great republic, you know, as the country was founded. And I don't want it to come to this. And some people say it might. I hope it doesn't. That's why we need to do what we're doing right here. We're trying to recall the governor, get her out. Now, I know the lieutenant governor, not good either. Okay, we got the attorney general, just as bad, worse, secretary of state. You just go down the list. And I've heard a lot of people say it doesn't matter. You get the governor out, who cares? The lieutenant governor will be worse. No, it does matter because it's us taking a stand and saying, you're not here to protect our rights. This country and state of Michigan was founded on the consent of the governed. And as soon as they no longer have our consent, we're supposed to abolish, get them out, right? Well, it reminds me, I was driving here on the way. And I already have this with me anyways. I've been reading this every day. It's called the Declaration of Independence. And I passed a road on the freeway. It's called Concord Road. It made me think of Concord Bridge in Lexington. And you think of the shot heard around the world. And what that was is this country was founded on the principles of self-governance. And they were living here, and they were colonists at the time, royal British subjects. And the king was just imposing more and more tyranny. A lot like what we're facing in Michigan, right? And it wouldn't stop. And they tried all these different processes. And it just wouldn't stop. Look, we've had the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court shot her down. She said, I don't care. I'm above the courts. I'll just do whatever the heck I want. She thought she was doing something cute by shifting it over to MDHHS, which my friend Catherine Henry, who is a constitutional attorney, reminds us constantly, they're still under the executive branch. So if it's illegal for her to do something, it's also illegal for somebody that's below her to keep doing the same thing. But she keeps going on and on. It doesn't seem like she's going to stop. Well, the founding fathers of this country, they did the same thing. They wrote letters to the king. They tried diplomacy. They tried this. They tried that. And they said enough's enough. And I'm not trying to suggest that we need to start a revolutionary war in the exact manner they did right now, although I fear maybe someday it might be necessary. However, the principles that this country was founded on, these were people that were brave men 240 years ago. I'm not going to quote it because I'll get it wrong, but I'll summarize. Ronald Reagan said something like this. He said, freedom, right, is only one generation from being extinct. You're not just born with it. You know, your father, grandfather, great-grandfather fought in World War II. many brave people to help save this country from the Nazis, from the communists. And they were brave people, but a lot of them are gone now. And it doesn't matter what they did in the past. It doesn't matter what Alexander Hamilton and George Washington did in the past. If we let them take our country away right now, it'll be gone, and we won't get it back. They say it'll take 1,000 years before we'll ever have a chance of having this republic, this experiment on self-governance like we have now. So we have to fight every single day. And I don't know about you guys, I have a little girl at home, and my whole goal is just to make this state of Michigan and these United States a better place for my daughter than a worse place. And I don't want us to have to tell our kids stories years down the road that, oh, at one time we were this free country and now we're just like the rest of the world. We don't want to be like the rest of the world. We're Americans, and we're never going to become a communist country. And I watched the governor of Michigan, and she just sits there and she just acts so snide. But it's not just how she acts, it's what she's doing. I hope nobody hears a waitress or a bartender or a cook, because if you are, you're probably having a hard time paying your bills right now. And I know people that are, and they're not paying their bills. The whole thing's crazy, and it just needs to stop. And I want to offer you guys some encouragement, and these are not my words, okay? But I think you guys should read this more often. I'll admit I went years without reading this, and I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence, just the intro of it. Now, there's a long list of grievances that are going to come after this that I didn't even print, but I think we have our own grievances with the governor of Michigan that we can list, and we could list them for a long, long time. And it just includes a few of the things that I said. And it starts off in Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. That's where we get, these are laws of nature. These are God-given rights. Now, when we say God, for me, it's the Christian God, and I'm proud to say that. But I also am a firm believer and lover of the First Amendment. I don't care what religion you guys practice. It has nothing to do with that. This is a free country where you can practice any religion that you want to, and you should. So whoever you believe created you, does anybody here think Gretchen Whitmer created them? Okay, good. I was hoping nobody would raise their hand. Gretchen didn't create you. She's not of nature. She's not of God. So I'll continue. A decent respect to the opinions mankind requires, that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Yeah, that's us. We're the people. We're equal. In God's eyes, in humans' eyes, we're equal to the governor. She's not above us in any way. And that's what this country was founded on. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And if you have that, what else do you need? That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. It doesn't say that the government should decide. It's up to them, meaning us, we the people. We're going to decide what's best for our safety and happiness. Prudence indeed. Before I say this, people say, well, hold on a minute. How have we gotten here? Well, because they're going to do whatever we let them do, and they're never going to stop until we stop them, and she needs to be recalled. And why are people dealing with this so long? And I've often struggled with that question, because you know what surprises me more than what she's actually doing to us? The fact that so many people are just sitting there and letting her do it. That's the most shocking part. Right. And this is, right?
Yeah. Where's
And,
the representatives?
Yeah.
Where were they?
Where's the
I think they're
neighbors?
starting
Right.
to stand up now, but where were they?
And that's what
All
I'm
the
trying to
time.
do, is offer encouragement to you guys to talk to your friends and your neighbors, right? So we're going to continue here, because I was struggling for the answer. And it's actually right here, and it's been here for the last 240 years, almost 250 years. It says, prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind is more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. That's a homework assignment. Look up what despotism means. And it also means Gretchen Whitmer, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is their right. It is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies and of Michiganders. And such now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain, and I would note this applies to Governor Whitmer, is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. So I guess here's the deal. As long as people are still comfortable enough, people are creatures of habit, right? They're going to sit there and they're going to say, well, okay, it's just 15 days to slow the spread. All right. It's just 15 days to flatten the curve. It's just a mask. It's just the schools. It's just the children. It's just our seniors. What about our seniors? Well, she was making it illegal. Just keep this in mind to put this all into context. And hopefully provide some motivation to throw off this tyrannical governor. Get her out. We don't need her here. It was illegal for me to cut grass. And I was cutting grass at a property in Howell, Michigan. 20 acres. Homeowner was in the house. I was out there on my zero-turn mower totally by myself. She has a police scanner. She said, you know what? You're pretty brave. I said, brave? I'm cutting your grass. She said, it's still illegal to cut grass. And I said, no, it's not. These are all unconstitutional. She can't make laws. She said she heard 20 people on her police scanner calling on me that were driving down the road because I was cutting grass. But you know what the governor was doing in the meantime? She was taking our senior citizens, our most physically vulnerable, that were in nursing homes. And she was taking patients that have this plague, this virus, whatever it is. She was putting them in there. And these homes, countless times, were saying, but we're not equipped for this. We can't do it. She said, shut up. I'm the governor. I know more about medicine than you do. You're going to take them no matter what, or I'm going to revoke your license. And they did. And an untold number of seniors died because of that, because of the virus and the plague itself, but also just dying of heartbreak and not being able to see their family. Because if we don't have hope, we don't have anything at all. And some of these people, that's all they have is the hope that they're going to see their grandchildren and their children. You know, I lost my grandmother 2 years ago. She lived her final few years in a nursing home. And that's all they had. But you couldn't go in and visit them in a nursing home. You couldn't paint the walls of your daughter's bedroom. You couldn't buy seeds to feed your family. You know, I live near Lake Erie. You couldn't even go out on a boat. Just think about this while she's shoving sick people in with our vulnerable seniors, right? Lake Erie, you can't go out on a boat if it has a motor. Now, you can go out if it's a rowboat, because of course she had to incorporate the new Green Deal in, right? And then 8 months later, we're hearing about the Great Reset and all of these things that are scary, and they should scare you, and they should make you angry. Again, not to be mean to people, but angry enough to put a stop to it. Now, we're out there, and I'm thinking, well, hold on, darling, let's go boating. But we can't, because she's going to do whatever, fine us, whatever. Out there in the rowboat, there's 15-foot waves, right? But that's safe, okay, whatever. Meanwhile, her husband says, I'm the governor's husband, put my boat in. We're out there thinking, do we want to go out? Do we want to go out on the rowboat with the heavy chop on Lake Erie today? Meanwhile, he's yachting and he's water skiing and he's doing everything he wants. Yeah. A lot of hypocrisy, a lot of stuff going on. But I think we have our encouragement right here in the Declaration of Independence. And I hope I can just keep driving by that Concord Bridge that's literally on the way here. And I think there's still a lot of peaceful remedy. But we're going to have to get her out. Because if you look what happens in these third world countries when they have dictators and tyrannical leaders that keep going and going and going. it often does end in an armed rebellion, and I'd like to see things peacefully resolved. So I encourage all of you. I get it. There were 56 people that signed this document, okay? Well, there's actually more than half of that here right now. So we actually have half of the people that it took to actually write this and declare. So if you look at it that way, it's actually pretty encouraging that we're all here today together. But I just want to encourage you guys, do what you need to do. If you're good people, just keep living your life like it's normal. This governor, she'll come and go, but I think she needs to go very soon. We're attempting to recall her right now, and all of you that have spent time doing that, that's awesome. You guys are my heroes. Like, literally, we have to have each other. So just make sure you're calling your friends and family. Just make sure they're okay right now, because a lot of people aren't okay, and a lot of people are depressed. And we can't let the cure be worse than the disease. And from what I see right now, that's what's been happening. So let's take encouragement from our founding fathers. I think they were very smart people, but just remember, even they didn't give us our rights. Our rights are given to us by our Creator. You're always going to have them. It's just up to you whether you're going to be able to keep exercising them. So, I don't know. With that, I offer encouragement to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.